Jurassic Park and Jurassic World introduced us to the legendary T-Rex we know as Rexy, and we know her as the queen of Isla Nublar. But what if her terrifying roar wasn't just for dominance, but a cry of deep-seated trauma? This isn't a video I expected to make anytime soon, and I've just rewatched Jurassic World and it really got me thinking. You compare Rexy in Jurassic Park here to the Rexy we see at the end of Jurassic World, and I noticed something. She looks extremely skinny, and at first I thought, well, that's just a design choice, that's the CGI. But then I started to dig deeper and, well, I've unearthed a hidden truth on Rexy and her captivity, revealing how years of confinement twisted her instincts and forged her into the ultimate survivor. Prepare to see the T-Rex you thought you knew in a whole new light. Because I'm going to start by saying, imagine being stripped of your freedom, confined, and then constantly threatened. That was Rexy's reality for years. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start at the beginning here. We know in Jurassic Park, Alan Grant says this.
T-Rex doesn't want to be fed, he wants to hunt. Just suppress 65 million years of gut instinct.
I've seen Jurassic Park God knows how many times, and the comment just didn't really resonate with me until I did this video. I mean, she doesn't want to be fed, she wants to hunt. But you imagine being kept in captivity in Jurassic Park for all them years. How bored she must have been. And let's not forget, she's the only T-Rex we ever see on Isla Nublar. We know she escapes shortly after this scene, so it's not too bad. So she's literally going to be living her life in the wild until what, 2005? So she has 12 years of freedom before she's then shockingly captured and transported to Jurassic World. And let's be honest, this isn't going to be a nice removal from her habitat. It's going to be quite violent from her natural surroundings. This is going to be a stark contrast from her having free reign of the entirety of the island to now being put in a pen, confined, not being able to hunt again, stuck there. And things only get worse for the Queen of Nublar after this, because initial behavioural signs, she'll start to show some stress, fear, potential disorientation, and this would have all been at the beginning of the park's development, the early park monitoring. They would have known this. But let's face it, the corporation, Masrani Global and InGen, only want to see them dollar signs. They abused her for corporate greed. And then I started to think, how is this any different to the treatment of the Indominus Rex? I mean, we all say the Indominus Rex's treatment was bad and it turned her into a psycho killer. I mean, the lack of natural stimuli within the paddock, compared to the expected territory size, how repetitive the environment would be, the predictable feeding schedule, which would erode the natural behaviour of the Indominus Rex and the T-Rex, robbing them of mental stimulation. So hang on, if we say the Indominus Rex's treatment was bad, surely Rexy's treatment is just the same. She was also brought up in captivity with no siblings or social interaction. She was also fed by a crane, which was the only positive enforcement she had. This doesn't sound good for Rexy, does it? And things only get more interesting from here. You see, like I just said, although she was not explicitly shown being abused, it's the same deliberate and cruel manner as some of the other dinosaurs like the Indominus Rex and the Endoraptor endured. By the time Jurassic World came around, which was 2015, Rexy was probably an elderly dinosaur. She was around 27 years old, and she appeared quite fragile and skinny. And let's face it, the isolation could be contributing to why Rexy herself could be considered quite aggressive. I mean, she's raised in captivity, no socialization, just like the Indominus Rex. She was locked up in her cage for years, lights on her constantly, not to mention the wrong habitat and wrong temperatures, along with humidity levels. I mean, let's look at Rebirth. Rebirth tells us that all the dinosaurs died out because of the wrong climate. Everything we've just said would likely contribute to her downfall, but the keepers themselves probably wouldn't have even noticed any of this, or even how to cure it. I think that would explain her aggressiveness in the first movie and in Jurassic World and subsequent films. I mean, just look at orcas. Orcas in the wild has never killed a single person, but orcas in captivity have. The captivity and isolation drives them mad. The same thing could be said for Rexy. There's no way her paddock would be close to anything which she would actually need to fulfill her territory. I mean, on Isla Sorna, there's numerous wild Rexes, and they've got their own territories, they're roaming around, but Rexy, nope. But whoa, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, well, hang on, how intelligent is this T-Rex? Because the Indominus Rex was extremely intelligent, and that led to a downfall, obviously, because she required mental stimulation. But how intelligent is the T-Rex? Is it just like a cow you could put in a pen and they'd be fine with? Well, let's look at the end of Jurassic World. We see her have that moment with Blue. She identifies that Blue herself has helped her defeat the Indominus Rex and isn't a threat, and kind of just acknowledges that fact and walks off. Whether she's super intelligent or not, the size of her paddock would definitely result in a mentally unstable tyrannosaur, and in itself that is mental abuse. So when she eventually escapes, regardless of who's there, regardless of what dinosaur was going to be put in front of her, luckily it was the Indominus Rex. Even if it wasn't, I believe she would have attacked and killed her anyway, purely because of the adrenaline, the excitement and everything she would have been experiencing upon leaving her paddock potentially for the first time in 10 years. Let's look at this logically. They bring back extinct dinosaurs from 65 million years ago. There's no way to even tell if these dinosaurs in their minds are acting correctly. They'd have no way of knowing. I mean, the book, The Lost World Jurassic Park, outright confirms that many of the dinosaurs are not acting like we'd expect them to, because we don't know what they're meant to act like. So the engineers and carers in Jurassic World, well, how would they have the slightest idea in what to think and expect? And Alan Grant sums it up perfectly here.
Dinosaurs and man, two species separated by 65 million years of evolution, just been suddenly thrown back into the mix together. How can we possibly have the slightest idea of what to expect?
And we often think of Rexy as quite heroic, but she indirectly saved their lives by defeating other dinosaurs. You know, in Jurassic Park, she defeats the Raptor Pack, she defeats the Indominus Rex, and then the Giganotosaurus with the help of the Therizinosaurus in Dominion. But she never intended to save anyone but herself by killing the other dinosaurs. Although eating Eli Mills, stopping him from creating other hybrids to sell on the black market, I would consider that quite heroic. But she can't actually be considered villainous either. I mean, for the same reason she can't be considered heroic. They can't be deemed evil, as she's just doing what her instincts are telling her. And again, we don't see it on screen, but she's clearly been mistreated for a long time. I mean, instead of direct malicious cruelty, Rexy's situation in Jurassic World can be described as neglect and mistreatment due to corporate greed, the isolation and confinement. Even in 1993, the failed park, Rexy was largely left to fend for herself on Isla Nublar after it fell. I mean, not once did InGen think about going to Isla Nublar and caring for these animals. I mean, they decided just to turn them out to the wild. They didn't care what would happen to them, right? She's then left there for roughly 12 years before Masrani Global decided to go and pick her up to put her in a tiny pen and use as an attraction, where she could have likely only have been fed on goats, potentially leading her to be malnourished like we said earlier. And in Jurassic World, she's literally exploited for entertainment and profit, rather than being treated as a living, intelligent animal with complex needs. She's forced into combat through Claire Daring. I mean, she lures her into a fight with a younger, larger, and genetically engineered Indominus Rex out of desperation to stop Indominus Rex's rampage. A situation she was clearly outmatched in until Blue and the Mosasaurus intervened. I mean, the Indominus Rex was about to literally bite her neck when Rexy was on the floor out cold, but Blue came in and saved the day. Let's not forget the lack of mental stimulation, living in the relatively small paddock with minimal interaction, predictable environment. All of this leads to pure pain and suffering, mentally and physically. But when we're watching the movie, we completely forget that, and the Indominus Rex is the villain. The Indominus Rex is the one who's been mistreated, but we completely forget about the mistreatment of Rexy. Falls to the wayside because she's the hero. And well, at the end of Jurassic World, we all know what happens. They abandon them once again, to fend for themselves, not to be cared for, and then in 2018, even Dr. Malcolm votes to let them die off and die on the island, the way of natural selection. They had their shot, and nature selected them for extinction. That's like having an isolated zoo somewhere in the country, all the animals break out, they put a fence around it, and just let them survive in the zoo on their own. Don't know how I feel about that. The film series often contrasts Rexy's nature as normal. She's a normal Tyrannosaurus Rex. A bit formidable, yes, but she's pretty normal. I mean, that's wrong. She was raised in total isolation like the Indominus Rex, neglected by her handlers. But she isn't subjected to the direct physical torture like the Indoraptor endured in Fallen Kingdom. Rexy's welfare was severely compromised by the humans who controlled her existence for commercial gain. That is a fact here, and it often falls to the wayside, but not today. And after this video, I guarantee you're going to look at Rexy differently. She's still the hero she always has been and always will be, but you look at her a little differently now. She's suffered far more than we initially thought. And if you'd like to know about Rexy's fate in Jurassic World Rebirth, well, watch this video here because he'll continue Rexy and Blue's fate. But don't forget to like the video before you do and subscribe for plenty more Jurassic videos like this every week. So hit the subscribe button right now. Massive thanks to the InGen team who are on screen now, DVM Wannabe 1018 and our Jurassic CEOs Joseph Frost's Ghost and Zarkadian. And if you want to become a member, you can see videos early. That's before everybody else. And if you came across a tyrannosaur out in the open, could your day go any worse? You bet Jurassic can. Catch you later.